legacy.
Baghdad, July 1921. A city holding its breath under a white-hot sun. Inside a shuttered villa, 3 men are drawing lines on a map. No armies, no battles, just ink. Winston Churchill, T.E. Lawrence. And between them, a woman no one was supposed to notice. Her name is Gertrude Bell. She isn't a general, she isn't elected, she has no army. Yet the map on that table will create countries, crown kings, and start wars that will outlive everyone in the room. Outside, the Ottoman Empire is ash. Inside, the British Empire is gambling for oil, for power, for control of the desert. And the person holding the pen isn't Churchill, it's her. How did a Victorian explorer become the architect of the modern Middle East? And why was her name erased?
Queens beyond time. Their story continues.
She was born into steel, not sand. County Durham, 1868. Heiress to one of Britain's great iron fortunes. Her world should have been drawing rooms and suitable husbands. She chose a different weapon. At Oxford, she became the first woman to take a first-class degree in modern history, not for applause, for access. While other women were taught to be ornamental, Gertrude was learning how empires rise and fall. London called her too clever to marry. So at 24, she vanished. Not to Paris, to Persia. Most Europeans travelled the Middle East like a museum, with soldiers, servants, and translators. Gertrude rode alone. She learned Persian in months. Then Arabic, not the formal kind from books, but the raw dialects of the tent. She sat for hours, drinking bitter coffee with sheikhs who had never spoken to a Western woman. She listened to blood feuds, water rights, tribal honour. She wrote it all down. By 1909, she was crossing the Syrian desert in winter, a journey the guides called suicide. Photographs show her in a long skirt, a pistol on her hip, eyes narrowed against the wind. She mapped ruined palaces at Babylon, traced forgotten Roman roads, catalogued every well from Damascus to High-Ill. She published 7 books. She wrote 16,000 letters. Every page was intelligence disguised as travel writing. Ask yourself, what was a single British woman really doing, memorizing the exact routes an army would need to invade? She told friends she was chasing freedom. The desert gave her what England never could. Respect based on mind, not gender. Then 1914 came. The Ottoman Empire sided with Germany. The Suez Canal was threatened. London suddenly needed someone who knew the tribes better than the tribes knew themselves. They didn't send for a general. They sent for her.
Queens beyond time. Their story continues.
Cairo, 1915. The war is not just in trenches, it's in back rooms. The British create something that officially doesn't exist, the Arab Bureau. Its job is simple and impossible. Turn the Arab tribes against their Ottoman rulers. Inside are 2 unlikely spies, T.E. Lawrence, the Oxford archaeologist, and Gertrude Bell, the only woman in the room. She is given the title of Oriental Secretary. It sounds clerical. It is not. She is running agents, decoding tribal politics, writing the briefings that generals read before they order a bombardment. Lawrence will become famous for blowing up trains. Gertrude does something quieter and more dangerous. She decides who to trust. She meets Ibn Saud in his tent. She drinks with the Shia clerics of Najaf. She knows which sheikh hates which cousin over a well dug in 1847. The British have maps. Gertrude has relationships. This is secret diplomacy at its most raw. Promises are made in Arabic over lamb and rice that will contradict promises made in English in London. The infamous Sykes-Picot Agreement has already carved the region in private. Gertrude knows it's a lie that will explode. She warns them. They ignore her. Men like Mark Sykes pat her hand and call her clever. She writes in her diary, "They are playing with fire in a tent full of oil." In 1917, Baghdad falls to the British. Gertrude walks into the city, not behind the army, but with it. She is appointed political officer, the only woman in the British Empire with that power. She is no longer observing history. She is writing it in real time. And the biggest blank page is still ahead. What do you do with a country you just invented?
Queens beyond time. Their story continues.
March 1921. The war is over, the empire is broke, and the Middle East is on fire with revolts. Winston Churchill summons 40 of Britain's top men to Cairo to decide the future. He invites one woman. Gertrude Bell arrives with something no one else has. A complete political blueprint for a nation called Iraq. For weeks, in a villa on the Nile, they argue. Churchill wants cheap control. The generals want military bases. Lawrence wants an Arab kingdom to keep his promise to the Arabs. Gertrude wants stability. She has already chosen her king. Not an Iraqi. A foreign prince from Mecca named Faisal, son of the Sharif Hussein, recently thrown out of Syria by the French. Why him? Because Gertrude believes only an outsider, dependent on Britain, can hold together Shia, Sunni and Kurd. She lobbies, she cajoles, she shows Churchill her files, her tribal trees, her hand-drawn maps. In her letters she writes, "Mr. Churchill was admirable." Behind closed doors, she draws the borders. A line in the north to include the oil of Mosul, even though it adds hostile Kurds. A line in the south to give access to the Gulf, even though it forces Shia and Sunni together. A line in the west that is just desert. These are not ancient borders. They are imperial compromises, sketched in pencil by a woman who loved the Arab world but served the British Empire. In August 1921, Faisal is crowned King of Iraq in Baghdad. Gertrude stands behind the throne in a white dress, watching the crowd. She has created a king. She has created a country. She whispers to a friend, "I feel like I have made a child." But what happens when that child grows up and realizes its mother was an empire?
Queens beyond time. Their story continues.
The ink dried. The problems began. Within months of Faisal's coronation, the contradictions Gertrude built into Iraq started to crack. The Kurds in the north never wanted Baghdad. The Shia in the south never trusted a Sunni king. The Sunnis never accepted British advisors ruling from behind a curtain. Gertrude saw it. She stayed in Baghdad, living alone in a house on the Tigris, working 1 8-hour days as director of antiquities. She founded the Iraq Museum to give the new nation a history, pulling artifacts from the very ruins she had mapped as a young woman. But the politics were slipping. The 1920 revolt had killed thousands. The British used aerial bombing to keep control, a tactic Churchill approved. Gertrude, the desert romantic, became the administrator of an occupation. She wrote home, exhausted, "I am at the end of my tether." She had loved the tribes for their freedom. Now she was building a state to contain them. She had believed in Arab self-rule. Now she was the face of foreign rule. On the 12th of July 1926, in the crushing heat of Baghdad, Gertrude Bell was found dead in her bed, an overdose of sleeping pills. She was 57. Officially, an accident. Her letters suggest a woman who knew she had built something brilliant and brittle. 5 years later, Iraq became independent. 37 years later, the monarchy she installed was massacred in a coup. The borders she drew are still fought over today in Mosul, in Kirkuk, in Basra. She wanted to be remembered as a bridge between worlds. History remembered her as a tool of empire.
Queens beyond time. Their story continues.
Gertrude Bell never commanded an army. She never held elected office. She never married. Yet she did what emperors do. She named a nation, chose its king, and drew its fate on paper. Was she a feminist pioneer who forced her way into rooms that banned women? Or was she the perfect imperialist because she made conquest look like scholarship? Perhaps she was both, a woman who loved the desert so deeply she tried to preserve it by controlling it, a strategist who believed she could outwit history with a good map and a better conversation. The Middle East you see on the news tonight still moves inside the lines she helped draw in that candle-lit villa. Her name was deliberately forgotten because empires prefer their myths to wear uniforms. But the desert remembers. If these hidden histories matter to you, stay with us. Subscribe and help us keep pulling these secret architects out of the shadows. Now tell me, do you see Gertrude Bell as a builder or a betrayer? Leave your thoughts below. And next, watch our documentary on the man who sat beside her in Cairo, T.E. Lawrence, the spy who became a legend, and discover how their friendship shaped a century of war.
History remembers.